everyone. I welcome all of you to this virtual interaction and this show where we discuss the latest trends in the worlds of cutting technology and where it is headed. I'm your host for the day. My name is Muqbil Ahmar, Executive Editor, Dynamics CIO and Greyhead Media. First of all, I sincerely wish and hope that all of you are safe and secure in your homes, wherever there are restrictions in place. The topic for today's discussion is how you can power your organization with automation and how it is transforming industries across the globe and very rapidly. We also know that in these trying times, it can be a challenge for organizations to maintain business continuity, timelines, and productivity. In such a context, mission critical operations need advanced reliability, network, and uptime performance. An automated process is something which can not only help enterprises drive something like agility and economic value, but it also provides seamless working and extremely high levels of interoperability. So, emerging technologies, for example, automation, RPA, robotic process automation, can bring a tremendous amount of value for organizations in terms of cutting down processes and doing away with a lot of work that can be largely called repetitive in nature and can be arduous for humans. Thus, I feel that there is a tremendous potential in bringing in automation, particularly in today's technology landscape, which is highly complex, and we all know that and would appreciate. To discuss all this, I have with me a very interesting lineup of extremely knowledgeable and very insightful speakers. I have with me Mr. Suresh de Silva, CEO EGUARDIAN, which is a leading distributor of cutting-edge technologies in Sri Lanka, and Murli Mohan, Vice President, India Business, UiPath. Of course, everyone knows UiPath, which is a leader in automation technologies. So first bringing in Suresh. Hi, Suresh. Hi, Murli.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you, Muqbil, for having us.
So coming to you, Suresh, first of all, we would like to have your thoughts on something like how has the COVID situation, has it really spurred a demand in automation technologies? Has something like that happened over there?
So yes, with COVID-19, we have seen it has been like an eye-opener for many enterprises across all sectors. Organizations are like looking how to go out of the business, look at their business where there's less human dependencies, but ensuring business continuity. So these are the dilemmas that they are having. They've been having customers who are exploring RPA. So just a few months before the lockdown, there were a lot of customers who were looking at RPA, but were quite laid back, thinking, okay, we can look at it in the next financial year and so on. But what happened with the lockdown is that they started putting the rest of the projects on the back burner and wanted to see how they can implement RPA fast. Because like I said, there was less human dependency, and also they wanted to ensure business continuity. One of the key sectors that got really hit by the pandemic was our apparel sector. So there are quite a lot of apparel. As you know, Sri Lanka is known for the apparel industry. And during this time, and even now, we are seeing a lot of apparel organization actually joining hands with UiPath in the automation journey.
Right, Suresh. So you say that there has been a remarkable or significant impact of the current situations. So taking this argument a little further, what are the key changes that you are observing in customer demands, particularly in the last few months?
Okay, so if you look at the customers that we used to have, or what we were looking at is, we always looked at the low-hanging fruits, where it was mainly the financial processes that needs to be automated. Even still, it's the same. But companies are looking at different areas. They're looking at faster implementation. How can they implement RPA faster than what it used to be or a couple of months ago? They're looking at demand to have a holistic view about the cost benefit, automation to justify the investment. These are things that they are looking at. So with UiPath, we are seeing, especially uh, with the cloud automation, we see a lot of companies looking at uh, moving or seeing it's cost effective to look at RPA into changing into automation. We also see the process discovery cost benefits that these guys, all the customers are getting, because they don't have to go through the entire process discovery. A few months back or about a year back, when we're looking at it, it took a long time for the process discovery, but now that has taken a shorter time. So the demands that the customers are asking for a shorter period, a cost-effective way, are things that I think UiPath can handle through the new technologies or the new products and services that they're bringing in. Especially we see in the SMB sector, we see quite a good demand, and I think that is something that we need to look at. And with the cloud adaptation, I think that is an area that we can look giving a solution which is cost effective.
Right, Suresh. So you spoke about cloud adoption, you spoke about shorter demand times. At this point of time, I would really want to bring in Murli also into the discussion. Of course, UiPath is one of the leaders of in automation technologies, and being a technology leader in your own right, I think you will be able to provide a really a bird's eye view of what is happening in the aftermath of the pandemic. So, Murli, uh, I would like to have your thoughts on my previous question about how the COVID situation has it made any changes, significant changes in demands as far as automation technologies are concerned.
So thanks, Muqbil. Thanks, Suresh, as well. And I think you set the context upfront very spot on, right? So let me take this in two parts very briefly, with your permission. The India perspective, and let me touch upon a little bit about the same from a Sri Lanka context. Uh, Short answer: has the situation spurred demand for automation? I think it's a resounding. Look at the world around us now. Remote working is the order. A lot of back office functions, HR, traditionally shy of automation, centric, very back office, are now being brought to the front from an automation need for automation point of view. There's a lot of thrust around this whole notion of finance transformation, whether it's reconciliation, whether it is managing your DSO in this day, managing cash is so critical. Everything that's got to do with finance transformation really being spurred through automation today. And I would also like to extend IT automation point of view. Resources not really on-site time, so you need to get the maximum benefits and availability out of your IT infrastructure. How do you make sure your data centers are being monitored and kept running without a hitch? If you look under the, if you just double click on each of the statements, it in so many ways talks about the need for automation. So yes, the short across the board. If I look at it from a Sri Lanka point of view, and I can just add to Suresh pointed out too, it's very unique, Muqbil. If you look at the Sri Lanka economy, largely driven by exports, like Suresh rightly said, and there's a lot of tourism, and that's one aspect of Sri Lanka and its business environment. The other is also, unlike India, where huge resource pool of skills, and both in terms of quantity and quality. Sri Lanka is quite unique in that sense, right? It's a smaller market from a consumption point of view, limited in terms of its skills, but tremendously potential wise in terms of offer to the market, because through exports they serve the world. So because of their dependence on serving or catering to the global economy in a way through their exports, brings in a lot of need for automation in the Sri Lanka business, specifically in this the situation, the COVID situation that we are in. And it's also moved right from being a, let's the waters, let's see if this works in the past, to now being a C-level priority, because for companies there to double their businesses, you can't do it by throwing manpower. We address that point. The only way one can truly scale operation that is helping global companies process through automation. So it kind of fits like a glove in our overall strategy, Muqbil, to your point.
Right, right. So you did speak about this tremendous surge for demand and the applicability of automation technologies in a place like Sri Lanka. Keeping up with you and sticking to you for the time being, how is the evolution of the traditional RPA market taking place?
So would you like me to answer that from a India context or a Sri Lanka?
From Sri Lanka context.
So, okay, so Suresh is the expert. I will bring him in with your permission. But to
Yes.
give you my perspective, look, we started at our humble beginnings in the Sri Lanka market, go back to, I think, 2017 is we served our first client, one of our largest and most respected customer logo in Sri Lanka, MAS Holdings. And over the last, since then, if I quickly fast forward the chronology, we've had a number of customers coming on board, in tens of customers from the Sri Lanka market. Back then, it was to get across to customers because of the low knowledge base, not too much of skills among the partner ecosystem. If you look at what we have successfully done over the last one, which has actually led to the evolution of RPA in the Sri Lanka market, we have the number of people, the number of partners, the partners that we have helped set up with the help of Suresh and his team has actually proliferated automation, the need for automation messages across Sri Lanka enterprises. The huge surge in is also increased because of our focus on the academia. More than 1,500 individuals by registered to the UiPath Academy. We are working very closely in building just the enterprise footprint in corporate Sri Lanka, focusing on community development, looking at academia, looking at industry bodies. So this whole approach towards the customer set, the enterprise space, the coverage, and of course working with academia and community. If you look at these three together, leads to a huge surge and evolution of what we have seen automation as a category move from 2017 until now in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, so excellent points made. Of course, that is the way to go about it. I think that these are extremely noble initiatives that you spoke about, cultivating communities and cultivating ties with the academia and institutions. And of course, this lays a lot of groundwork for the evolution of this technology. So, Suresh, your thoughts on the question that I posed to Murli, and would you like to elaborate and add to it?
Yeah, so actually, like Murli said, my interaction was, of course, after MAS was signed in 2017. My interaction with UiPath was, I think, late 2018. So when I had the chat with, I always tell my guys that when you had the chat with the UiPath in 2018, I was also not sure about RPA, and of course, and from UiPath also didn't know what kind of potential there was in Sri Lanka. So what we both decided is, look, we'll take 2019. Let's take 2019 as an year to evangelize the product, the services, what RPA is, and probably we'll start getting business in 2020. But it was quite the opposite. We saw the adoption of RPA taking up early 2019, and we are seeing a huge, very good growth in the market now. If you look at all the logos that we have, are the top enterprises in the Sri Lankan market. So I think the market here is mature than even what I thought. And I think that is something that we will go on seeing in the next couple of years, that this is an area that personally for eGuardian, I think this is a growth area. UiPath is going to be one of our key products in the in the eGuardian belt. And I also want to add about that about the UiPath Academy that has really helped, and the community has really helped to grow the number in Sri Lanka of the resources that we have. So that is one of the key areas that why UiPath is number one in Sri Lanka and of course in the world.
Right. So Suresh, you spoke generally about how the the rate of adoption of something like RPA has really shot up and how it's building on. Would you like to add more specifics to your uh, elaboration? Like adoption rates of RPA in the Sri Lankan market.
Okay, so I would say the information that I have looked at is we are seeing the cloud adoption automation in RPA is slowly taking over. So in the last couple of months or the last couple of months, whatever customers that we have signed up with UiPath, all are moving into most of them are moving into the cloud offering. So that would be about 40%, and I think by end of early 2021, our gut feeling or with the statistics that we have, we should be hitting around 60% of that should be on automation, cloud automation. But what even though I don't have the numbers, what I can say is it is a growing area. People have understood automation is required in all enterprises. But what I'm also seeing is that the SMB side is something that we need to look at, which we can't ignore. There's huge potential in the market in the SMB sector.
Right, Suresh. So this is a very interesting thought and something that you have reiterated and repeated in your comments over the past 20 minutes or so. And I would like to bring in Murli into the discussions at this point. For example, Suresh has repeatedly spoken about how cloud adoption is really fueling the demand for automation technologies and how big of an impact it is having in that sense. Would you like to add your thoughts on to this, Murli, because this is something which is repeatedly coming up?
So I think Suresh is right, and it's a indicator that we are seeing in Sri Lanka. There is a lot of inhabited, exposure and adoption of cloud is making, the initial resistance as far as cost and infrastructure investment towards automation adoption much easier. And I think Suresh is right. One of the factors that's leading to increased and relatively speedier time to market for automation adoption in the Sri Lanka market is really given by the fact that they're more open and more progressive as far as cloud is concerned, and we're seeing this not just in core enterprise organizations but across of industry, including government, so including banks, public sector, and government, very clearly very consistent in this behavior. So I think I completely agree with that very precise observation around how cloud and related adoption is fueling automation for us.
Right. So, Murli, you spoke about cloud adoption and how it is fueling automation technologies. So, what are some of the other innovative ways of implementation of automation technologies and strategies?
Okay, so let me paraphrase this very quickly in terms of the current situation that we are in. The COVID environment, I've seen some very innovative ways of going and addressing today's problems, right? So we've seen customers think what we have something called a health bot in our environment, which actually bot that pops up every Monday morning and checks on my health, checks my parameters, reports to HR, so that HR can keep a record of how I am progressing. Similar to what the government is trying to do, the positive cases out there. Then I've seen another application of automation in this COVID scenario where we're actually helping governments in looking at how do we make this analytics around data being collected on this huge surge of cases. Just look at India, right? I mean, I think we beat 84,000 cases in one day as yesterday, number of cases. So with that huge surge across the, how do you make sure this information is consolidated and fed into the national data? It's a very, very automation-centric exercise. We ask me in a space for a lot of